Hey everybody, welcome to Reading the Bible to Cats. Um I hope you're doing well. I think I'm I have a little more energy, I have to say. But I've been doing a few things differently. Every now and then I'll do a squat. like I'll I'm trying to squat more, do squats. Um and the other thing I'm doing differently is I'm eating broccoli sprouts and more kiwi fruit and mini red peppers. I don't know. I feel like I was maybe missing a nutrient. Oh, and here's another weird thing. I just started like yesterday. I bought we will read the Bible. I bought some natto and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a Japanese um, fermented soybean. But apparently it's like really good for you and it has a lot of vitamin K. So I had some last night and then I had a little today too. It's supposed to be like a superfood. Um, and then I also I bought some kimchi, which I never eat. So I'm trying to eat some different things and include some superfoods in my diet. Seems to be helping a little because I feel like I have more energy. So anyway, thanks for praying for me, everyone. What else do I want to share before we read the Bible? Well, this will be an intense one because it's Revelation chapter 16, and it is very reminiscent of, let's see, Exodus. Hold on one second because I looked up a few things here. Um, where did I put my? Okay, yeah, it's reminiscent of Exodus. And here's a little AI overview of what happened in Exodus in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures. The biblical account states that God heard the cries of the enslaved Israelites in Egypt and saw their suffering. After the Israelites groaned and cried out due to their slavery, God heard their groaning, remembered his covenant, and sent Moses to lead them out of Egypt. Um, so yeah, let's just read this AI overview a little bit before I jump into Revelation 16 about the the deliverance uh, of the children of Israel from Egypt. God heard the cries according to Exodus 2 verses 23 through 25. And this is from Bible.com. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And then it goes on in Exodus 3, verse 7. God tells Moses, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. God acted. God's awareness of their plight led him to act. He informed Moses that he was sending him to Pharaoh to lead the Israelites out of Egypt and into a promised land. And then what happens is the plagues, the very famous plagues. Um, and so just keep that in mind because as we read Revelation 16, you will see that the final plagues here in Revelation 16, are really a response to the prayers of God's people. Just like in Exodus, the children, when God's people were suffering, he heard their cries, and the plagues were a response to their suffering. and a judgment because of the suffering of God's people. And then deliverance came. And so it's similar when we read Revelation 16, you'll see a parallel. So let's just jump on it. Or, I'm sorry, let's pounce on it. Okay. And then I also want to say, and where did I, let's see. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah. Also, as we read Revelation 16, keep the other chapter of Revelation in mind. And here's a little AI overview of that. The golden bowls full of incense refers to a symbolic image from the book of Revelation in the Bible, where the incense represents the prayers of the saints that ascend to God. In this vision, 24 elders holding harps and golden bowls filled with incense are seen in heaven before God's throne, signifying that the prayers are heard, valued, and presented to God as a fragrant offering. Yeah, so those golden bowls are identified as the prayers of God's people. And what happens is, well, here, let's read this little AI overview here. The scene in Revelation 5, verse 8 depicts a heavenly reality where prayers are actively being collected and presented to the throne of God even before they are answered. An angel later takes fire from the altar and throws it to the earth, which is connected to the prayers and leads to divine judgment, showing that the prayers are linked to God's final actions. So much like we have in Exodus with the children of Israel needing deliverance, um, and crying out and to the Lord, and God acts. He sends the plagues in response to the prayers and the needs of his people. In Revelation 16, what we read about is a response. The plagues, the final plagues, are a response to the prayers of God's people. So I just wanted you to keep all that in mind, and let's just pounce on it. Remember, I told you I don't like focusing on plagues at all. I don't. That's why I had to kind of sit with this chapter and like just process it. But basically, well, we'll talk more about it. Let me just pounce on it. Okay. Oh wait, what am I reading? Let's read the Complete Jewish Bible. Let's see, where is that one? Yeah, let's read from that translation, I guess. Okay. I heard a loud voice from the sanctuary say to the seven angels, "Go and pour out on the earth the seven bowls of God's fury." So the first one went and poured his bowl onto the earth, and disgusting and painful sores appeared on all the people who had the mark of the beast and worshipped its image. The second one poured out his bowl into the sea, and it became like the blood of a dead person, and every living thing in the sea died. The third one poured out his bowl into the rivers and springs of water, and they turned to blood. Then I heard the angel of the waters say, O Ha Kadosh, the one who is and was, you are just in these judgments of yours. They poured out the blood of your people and your prophets, so you have made them drink blood. They deserve it. Then I heard the altar say, Yes, Adonai, God of heaven's armies, your judgments are true and just. The fourth one poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was permitted to burn people with fire. People were burned by the intense heat, yet they cursed the name of God, who had the authority over these plagues, instead of turning from their sins to give him glory. The fifth one poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and its kingdom grew dark. People gnawed on their tongues from the pain, Yet they cursed the God of heaven because of their pains and sores, and did not turn from their sinful deeds. The sixth one poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water dried up, in order to prepare the way for the kings from the east. And I saw 3 unclean spirits that looked like frogs. They came from the mouth of the dragon, from the mouth of the beast, and from the mouth of the false prophet. They are miracle working demonic spirits which go out to the kings of the whole inhabited world to assemble them for the war of the great day of Adonai Svaot. Look, I am coming like a thief. How blessed are those who stay alert and keep their clothes clean, so that they won't be walking naked and be publicly put to shame. And they gathered the kings to the place which in Hebrew is called Harmageddo. Just an aside, as I was speaking, that's Armageddon. Okay, back to verse 17. The seventh one poured out his bowl on the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne, saying, "It is done." There were flashes of lightning, voices, and peals of thunder, and there was a massive earthquake, such as has never occurred since mankind has been on earth. So violent was the earthquake. The great city was split into 3 parts. The nations fell. The cities of the nations fell. And God remembered Babylon the Great, and made her drink the wine from the cup of his raging fury. Every island fled, and no mountains were to be found, and huge 70-pound hailstones fell on people from the sky. But the people cursed God for the plague of hail, that it was such a terrible plague. Okay, everybody, that's the end of Revelation 16, and it's very intense. But what has, what sticks out to me is that all of this is a response. Like the angel said, "O Hakadosh, the one who is," and this is verse 5, "and was, you are just in these judgments of yours. They poured out the blood of your people and your prophets. So you have made them drink blood. They deserve it." So it's a response to all the killing of the people of God. You know, they've been martyred throughout the ages, and still today are martyred. And during this time, you know, they will be beheaded, a lot of them, if I don't know if all of them, but whoever doesn't take the mark of the beast, basically the devil, will be killed. And so this is a judgment on evil, really, and the evil one, who is the beast, because remember, people took the mark, 666, and decided to worship, basically Satan, the devil, and they knew what they were doing. So this is what happens. Yeah. So the plagues are, a judgment and a response. And the fury is, directed towards evil. And then evil will be really done away with. We'll get to that, but it will be, the devil and his, his fallen angels, and all the people who follow the evil one, will be done away with, and then death itself will be done away with. And because death is a result of evil. So even though it makes me think of, like, all the prayers you pray whatever it is you go through in life, and sometimes you think, well, I don't think God is he a non-interventional God? Why doesn't he intervene? Why does this evil continue to flourish? Or, why am I going through this or that? Or, why is there suffering? Why is there death? Well, all of that, there will be a response from God. This will, and on that day, he will judge evil, and all of it will be done away with, and all the fruit of evil, which would be, death, um, everything. I mean, death, suffering, pain, sorrow, grieving, crying, sickness, all the works of the devil. It's all the works of the devil will be done away with. And then also in verse 16, Armageddon is mentioned. And it says, and they gathered the kings to the place which in Hebrew is called Har Megiddo, or Armageddon as we know it. So Armageddon is when, and like I've said before, when I first became a believer, I knew the prophecy that in the end times that all the nations, pretty much all the nations, maybe not all the nations, but most of the world would turn against Israel. And that's what Armageddon is. It's they all come against Israel in the valley of Megiddo, which is a place, and that's Armageddon. And I remember when I first became a believer, I was like, "Oh, that doesn't seem possible. Why would the world turn against little Israel?" You know what I mean? It's like, why would I mean, I just didn't see it. I was like, okay, I guess that'll happen, but I don't know why the entire all the nations would be so preoccupied with little Israel. You know, and this was a long time ago. So, well, we know now how easy that is. We see that stage being set. You know what I mean? And then I also knew way back then that anti-Semitism would increase because in the latter days, because that's prophetic too. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen because, um, that's such a big taboo. Nobody is going to express anti-Semitism, especially after the Holocaust. Well, we know that's not true. You know what I mean? So it's just, the Bible is just very prophetic. But I guess what I want to emphasize is that this is like in Exodus. The plagues were, and the judgments on Egypt were a response, God's response to the suffering of his people and their need for deliverance. And I feel like this chapter in Revelation 16 is God's response to the suffering of his people and their need for ultimate deliverance. And that's all I have to say. But you know me, I had to work through it a little bit because I don't like plagues. But I do like a God who responds to my prayers and has passion about it, has feeling. It doesn't go. It's like you're not forgotten. And people, especially believers in God throughout the world, are persecuted. So, but he sees and he knows, and one day there will be justice. Okay, I'm gonna get off my little soapbox now, and yeah. Well, I do want to say, and I've been delaying sharing this too, but Guster's mommy is gonna be picking him up because she's settled now. So the plan is for me to drive down with her, um, and then I'll stay there with them for about a week. And So yeah, so Guster's mommy stayed, but just know that Guster loves his mommy. I mean, he really, really loves her. And for those of you who don't know, I've been long-term cat sitting for my best friend because um, she's had to take care of a few things in her life, and but she loves Guster like so much. But yes, I'll miss Gussie, but he's part of my family, so I'm his aunt, so I'll see him, and you'll see him again because we'll make videos. I mean, it won't be every day, but when I go visit him. And the other thing is, I know this channel's called Reading the Bible to Cats, so I might be reading the Bible to videos of cats for a while because I won't have a kitty to read the Bible to. And the other thing is, I know you might say, well, go get a cat. And of course, I want a kitty or two, but I'm very slow about making decisions. So it might be a little while before a kitty comes along. But I'll still be doing this channel. I'll still be reading the Bible. And we'll figure it out and navigate it. But I understand if it's really sad because you love Guster, and we've been through so much with the loss of Henry. But I mean, I just trust the Lord with it all. So it'll work out somehow, and I know I'm gonna be in Guster's life, and because I'll be in Guster's life, you'll be in Guster's life. But yeah. So I just wanted to update you on that. All right, everybody. I'll say a prayer. Lord, thank you for your word. Thank you for helping me have peace about that chapter and kind of understand things a little more. And I pray you continue to help me understand your word. I pray for everybody who's watching or listening that you would help them understand. There's so much that I don't understand, but we ask for wisdom. Thank you, Lord, that the hostages are free. I pray for their healing from the trauma and for just the Prince of Peace to return, the Messiah. And we thank you that you let us know how things would be. You didn't leave us in the dark. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, the protection of Israel, and for the people who need you in Gaza, who are maybe suffering, or the animals too, and the same for the people in Israel who are suffering because of all the trauma and evil. We just ask for your peace, knowing that it will truly only be real and lasting when the Prince of Peace returns, when Jesus, Yeshua, Messiah returns. But until then, Lord, help us to have the joy of your Spirit. I pray for everybody watching and listening that you give them peace. And if they're getting ready to go to sleep, that you help them rest well. And if they're starting their day, that they would have like pep in their step and have a good day. And just ask your blessings on them. We thank you that you are available to anyone who calls on you. Pray these things in Messiah's name, Yeshua, Jesus. Amen. All right, everybody. I hope that wasn't too sad of an update, but I I don't feel. I mean, I did cry, but I'm kind of okay now because I know that I'll see Guster again, and he's just family, and that I know he loves his mom. Every time she's on the phone, I put her on speaker. He rubs his face against the phone. So I know he loves her. And she taught him how to love. I mean, she really taught him to love, and he loves everybody. Um, So, yeah, but you can keep me in prayer, everyone. But I'll keep reading the Bible, even if it's to a picture of a cat. All right. I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.